Oh, we are live. We are live. What does Ray J always say? Are we live? Y'all don't know. Okay.
No, yeah, I don't know that reference. See, I'm not hip. I'm not hip as you are, friend. I'm not hip. Okay.
Because I feel like we're the breakfast club of DEI, but that's a whole
Oh,
nother
I like
thing.
that. I like that. Okay, come on, Breakfast Club with DEI.
I'm speaking it into existence. I'm loving the casual looks. D, lovely to see you as always. Ty, you're giving us a bun. You're giving us frames. You're giving us a lip. I'm here for it. Nice to see you, dear.
Nice to see you too.
Fantastic. Well, it's nice to see everyone out there at business as usual for your daily dose of D&B or D DEIBA with D&B, right? Hello, every beautiful body out there. My name is Blaire G. Hervey. I am the founder and CEO of The Corporate Strategist. I am joined by my colorful co-host, my bestie and soul friend of 20 plus years, D'Angelo Crane. Hello, D. How are you?
Hello, Blair Hervey. I would have on the lip today too if I was in my regular studio, but I'm not in the regular studio today. So that's why I'm dressed very casual, you all, because I am off site today doing some intense labor work. So that's why I'm pretty casual today. But I was not going to miss this show about this topic today. I had to be here to sit with you and to talk to our good friend Ty again. So definitely. I'm here, but I'm casual, but I'm here. That's what makes sense.
That's all that matters is that you are here. Listen, this guy has a 9 to 5 and a 5 to 9 with the corporate strategist as an independent consultant. And we appreciate all the work that he does and welcome everyone to the Black DEIBA Collective LinkedIn live series and podcast and all the things that D'Angelo loves to say. But D, I'm going to pass it back to you for our favorite beginning segment.
Yes, as we do every day, we do the art of the check-in where we ask people, how are you feeling? And not just that surface level stuff. We want you to go deep because that's where we're asking leaders to do each and every day is to check in on their employees, especially when they're experiencing racial trauma, if they're experiencing trauma as a woman. We know lots of women rights have been challenged over the last several months. And so we should be checking in on our underrepresented talent and just really anyone in their organization. So we always start with our guest. Ty, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? What's on your mind, your brain, your heart?
I am so excited to be here with you today. I mean, any chance I get to sit with the two of you, I feel like it's a blessing. So I'm just very excited for what we have in store for lunchtime on today.
Ooh, I like that. You called it, what did you call it? A lively lunchtime conversation?
Yes.
Yes, yes, that's very accurate.
And
That's what
Blair,
we're
how are you
doing.
doing today?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I'm tired, actually. Let's be clear. I love being here with family. I came here to help out a little bit to come pick up my nephews and pick them up from school and daycare. But I also have been going to a trainer. So I've been going to the gym first thing in the morning, right? And then traveling to a co-working space. I'm not used to all this driving, all this to and fro, this commuting. She's tired, okay? But I am grateful. How are you, D?
Blair, we didn't talk about this today, but I think this is such a important conversation to have, and it's on my mother's birthday, and so I just am like very. I think I don't know how we planned it this way, but it just worked out this way to talk about the importance of Black women in the workplace. And I can tell you, with having a single mother who worked at a workplace for 30 years, she did not only impact her workplace, she impacted her community. And so I think it's so the irony and the importance of this conversation on this day. So I'm feeling I'm all over the place because I'm not in my normal studio. I'm emotional because it's my mother's birthday and she is deceased. But I'm excited about the conversation that we're going to have today.
Oh my goodness, I love that so much. You know what? And Big Gypsy did not only impact, of course, you and the community. I mean, knowing you since I feel like we were in the womb, she had a huge impact on my life. Her style, her flavor, that raspy voice. She was the mother of all mothers. And so I'm grateful for her being a part of all of our lives for sure. Thank you for mentioning that. And now we can get into our guest speaker today. And I'm so happy to have Ty. Ty is skilled in building and effectively leading teams, proposal development, evaluation, budget management. So she's good with those coins, strategic planning, and board and volunteer engagement. And now she's also a DEI consultant. So I'm super excited to hear more about your current skill set, how you've been continuing to build that over the last couple of months, over the last couple of years. And I'd love to hear about how you've been implementing new things as a new junior league member as well. So thank you again for joining us, Ty.
Thank you so much. Yes, I started my consultancy a few years ago because as a Black woman, I saw it all in the workplace. I saw it all.
I'm
And
sure.
I obviously had folks always wanting me to do the free labor. We know that well. And so I decided to monetize that, right? Why am I doing this work for free? And so now I charge for that expertise. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
We all should, through my business, More Consultants, which is dedicated really to helping organizational leaders deepen their knowledge and develop the strategies necessary to create diverse, equitable, and inclusive environments for all people, because that's what we want. And so I am just excited to do this work and to learn about it every day. To me, it's in an everyday evolving set of skills that we need to have, because things are changing every single day for all of us, and we need to always be educating ourselves. So I actually turn to leaders like Blaire and D'Angelo, and I'm always stalking your LinkedIn and seeing the things that you're posting and implementing them. Absolutely. I learn from folks just like you. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It sounds like we may have started our consultancies around the same time. So I'm sure it's always an exchange of information. It's a knowledge share, and it's a place for us to all truly grow. So I heard you say that you started your business just a few years ago, but talk to us a little bit about that pivotal moment. Like, what really brought you into this work, aside from, of course, an opportunity to monetize and optimize our gifts?
Yeah. I had been working in predominantly white spaces my entire career, but I was at an organization that was lily white. I mean,
Okay.
it was very, very white. And there was a situation where a colleague said to me, hold on to your seats, where a colleague said to me to sit back and let her drive this bus.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Of all analogies.
Exactly. I was like, of all analogies, that's what you said to me. Like,
Right. That's
I was just
wild. I'm
like,
sorry that happened to you.
I was like, you know what? We need some education here, because if you can say that to me without realizing what you just said, like, we have a bigger problem in this organization. And so I was like, we really need to start talking about how we're communicating with each other, how white folks are talking with people of color, because there is clearly a disconnect here. And of course, they wanted me to do all of that for free. And I did for some time. But then I realized, like, if it can help this one organization, why can't it help other organizations? Because when I'm talking to my friends, we're all sharing similar stories. We're all enduring some nonsense in the workplace as Black people, and especially as Black women. And so I was like, listen, why not me? If I can take this one organization that was completely resistant to change and get them on board with changing just a little bit, then I know I can do it for others. And so it just kind of grew from there.
That's beautiful. Well, I'm glad you've been able to not only, again, optimize your gifts, but monetize them. We're all about that on this particular platform as well. But let's get right into the topic. I'd love to hear some juicy stuff, and I'm sure Dee has some great questions for us. Dee, you want to start us off with our first question?
Definitely. So today we're really talking about the experiences of Black women in the workplace, right? And we titled this "Hire Her," and some of that comes from the fact that Blaire has always be her at one point in her life. So why not hire her? And how do we really think about retaining, engaging, and empowering Black women in the workplace, which is we know is such an untapped resource when we think about the power of Black women in our communities. I mean, we think about what happened in Georgia or what happened in an election ago. It was Black women that helped change the face of the country and definitely change the face of Georgia when we think about Stacey Abrams. So there's so much richness and so much power behind hiring Black women. However, what organizations and Black women are believing, when we look at some of the Gallup polls, is that they believe that they're least likely to have good jobs in their community. They are the least to feel valued, treated with respect, and a climate of fair treatment among workers in many workplaces. Right. So let's tie. So talk to me about. When we think about hiring and retaining and bringing Black women into our workplace, what are the top three things that companies should be thinking about when they want to do this? What should they be focusing on? Because there's lots of things they can focus on, right? When we think about belonging of people, but if you could boil it down to just three, what are the top three things you would say? Here's what you should be thinking about and doing.
Pay me, right? That's number one, pay me. Two, respect me. Don't
Mhm.
don't keep challenging my opinions and my credentials. Include me. Give me chances for professional development, to be in the front of the room and show what I can do. If employers are willing to do that, then I think they can keep those good Black women. But I think the issue is that oftentimes when we go into workplaces, we're not respected. We are not respected. And like Malcolm X said, the Black woman is the most disrespected person in the world, right? We see that in the workplace. They either try to mammy us, right? Make us into some kind of house mother where they want us to do all these domestic type responsibilities, or they just simply don't respect us and they're questioning us and our abilities to do our jobs well. And that is something that causes Black women to just walk away, because if I'm disrespected in life, I don't also need to be disrespected at work. Like at some point, I have to cut off the disrespect somewhere. I'm going to find control. And sometimes that control is like, hey, I can walk away from this job. I can wipe my hands of that at least and go somewhere else. And we can't do that in every place in our lives, but in work, we can at least control that. But it's on the employer to make sure that we feel valued. We feel like our contributions are valued in the workplace and not just always questioned and diminished.
Ooh, and see, I love to be able to remember and summarize the things that our guests say. So I can't remember the second one now. So you said pay me. Was it don't
Respect me.
challenge?
Respect
Respect
me.
me.
Respect me.
PR, and what was the last one?
Pay me, respect me, and include me.
Okay, PRI. Write that down, D. That's a good one. Yes. So I love that. So when we're thinking about all of those things, right? Those are the values, of course, an organization or perhaps a hiring manager should think about once they're cultivating that environment. They realize that there's a gap. Right, we are lacking women, specifically Black women. So now it's time to actually get these folks in the space, and they start thinking about recruitment. So if you were talking to, a hiring manager, HR department, and they're saying, well, they're just not out there, they're not applying, where would you tell them to start when it comes to recruitment?
Your job announcement. In the consulting that I've done, I'm like, well, what does your job announcement say? Does it say, if you don't meet every single qualification, apply anyway? That's important, because as Black women, we're our most harsh critic, right? We are harder on ourselves than anyone else is on us, I think, because we're always trying to be perfect, because society tells us that we have to be successful. We have to be perfect to be successful. Sure. So we're not going to apply for roles where we're not just 100% sure we've got everything. Whereas white folks, they don't feel that kind of pressure. They will apply for jobs they know good and well they are not qualified for, right? I mean, we've seen it. We've all worked with white folks too that have gotten jobs that they're not qualified for. And the only reason they got them is because they applied for them. But we don't do that often enough. So I would say the place to start is right with the job announcement. Make sure that the language there is making folks feel like they can shoot for this. They can go for this, even if they don't meet every single criteria. Do you have some knowledge? Do you have some lived experience that you bring to the table that maybe an education or degree can't bring? So kind of opening it up in those ways to where folks feel like whatever they bring to the table is enough.
Yeah, Tai, I heard I remember I think I shared on my LinkedIn. Someone did have a posting, and it specifically called out the fact that women and people of color do not apply for roles when they are not feeling qualified for them. They're less likely to than other people. So you're exactly right. I think we have to really think about what is those job recs saying, and how inclusive are they and welcoming are they to many different people who are working differently or have different backgrounds, right? Especially those mothers who've been away from the workplace because they were taking care of kids. How are we bringing them into the fold? And many times it is women of color who are leaving the workplace to take care of the family, right? So thank you for sharing that. Blaire, I'm sorry.
No, that's good. No, that's good. But I want us to stay on this, because sometimes this lets organizations off the hook. Like, that's a great place to start for sure. I've definitely worked at an organization and led a team at one point where we increased the diversity on our team by 38% by just updating some of those job recs, right? But we have to go out and get folks too. Right. And I want us to be mindful, not necessarily careful, but mindful that just because we're Black doesn't mean that you have to decrease those credentials as well. Right. Like, we should require less, just because we can require some different things. But where can you go find these talented Black women who may or may not have the degrees, whatever the case may be, where would you suggest they start looking, especially in Portland, Oregon? Where can they find us?
I mean, I feel like we're out here, especially in Portland. I feel like we are out here. I mean, we're out here on LinkedIn, we're on social media, but also just out in the community at events. If you just go out and talk to people and not be afraid to have a conversation with folks, I think that you can really start there. I've met amazing people by just going outside. I mean, I think sometimes it's just that simple as starting a conversation. But as far as like recruiting people, I think you have to be intentional about it, of course. But I think, places like LinkedIn, where there's folks of all different backgrounds, I've seen folks with profiles that say, like, I was a stay-at-home mom for 15 years, and this is my experience. And I think that that's valuable. I think that, like D'Angelo said, employers need to start taking some of that into consideration, because like if a person can manage a household for 15 years, they can certainly manage an office, in my opinion. So, it's like giving credit where credit is due and not always trying to make people fit into a box. But like you said, that doesn't mean lowering the criteria or the requirements, because listen, we're also the most educated segment of the population as well as Black women. So you don't have to lower anything for me. You just have to get out of my way. I don't need a hand up. Just get out of my way.
I hear you.
And you all made me think about those. I'm sorry, Blaire. Go ahead.
Well, just real quick, just so some folks know, because again, I just can't let people off the hook. They can hear you and be like, okay, yeah, I'll go out and talk to some people. But again, what are you saying and where are you going? So there's places like D'Angelo just most recently went to Afrotech. I think I went a couple of years ago, going to places like Afrotech, recruiting from NSBE, recruiting from, I believe there's a master's organization for Black folks specifically.
There's a Black MBA association.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think also hitting like the Divine Nine, sororities and fraternity networks.
Exactly. You all are talking about it. I think you got to go to those unconventional places. I mean, you all know that every city has a Black in somewhere, Black in Portland, Black in Louisville, Black in DC, whatever networking group on Facebook. Maybe you got to drop your posting in one of those groups and tell people to reach out to you or to apply for the position. So we got to get creative, because there are tons of Black professionals, skilled professionals out there. They may not exist on LinkedIn. So where else can you find them at that you normally haven't found them? But to say they're not there is not the truth at all, right? We all know there are plenty. We can count probably on our 2-3 hands the number of Black professionals we know who are looking for great positions. We just need to connect them to the people to give them opportunities to interview for those positions. Definitely.
And another one too, like I was saying, the Divine Nine networks, but also like your school's alumni networks. Like for me, like there's a Black group for my undergrad, for my law school, for my MBA. So it's like, that's 3 Black groups, 3 specific Black groups that I know I can turn to if I'm looking for resources. And so I think that, like, just thinking through, like, who do you know personally that you can connect to that has other connections? I think that's something that we often overlook too. Like, who do I know that's just my friend that knows other people?
Thank you. Yeah, the intentionality. Yeah, Dee, we can get off the recruitment. I just wanted to make sure.
I love it. I love it. Tai, so when organizations, so we've got you into the organization, what do we need to do to keep you there? So what things should organizations be doing? I know we talked about the pay a little bit, respect, right? But when we think about even creating a space of belonging or creating a space of thinking about the Black women holistically, how might organizations think differently than they have in the past? Because it's not just pay me, right? I think that's one piece of it. But we know people will still leave organizations even at the highest pay that they could be paid, right? They still will say, this is not for me. So what other things should they be doing and thinking about when they're trying to continue to bring Black women into the organization and create advocates out of them when they're in the organization?
Yeah, because we stay in places where we feel good about ourselves, right? So I think creating spaces where Black women feel valued and they feel good. So creating opportunities for professional development, letting them better themselves, outside of just education, but going to conferences, learning from colleagues, being able to travel and sit with their colleagues in other cities or states and learn from them. So just trusting them to get some professional development and supporting that, and not like just beating them over the head with their day-to-day responsibilities. I think that's really important. But I think also just giving us opportunities to be out front and show what we can do, and to not always try to hide us in the background. I think that that's also important for those who are looking to step into leadership and to step into those forward facing roles, is to give Black women those opportunities. And I think the third thing is really mentorship. I think that mentorship is so, so important to professional success, and we often don't get those opportunities. So I think by providing those opportunities within an organization where a Black woman can partner with someone else who may be in a position that she's seeking to get to, so she can learn from them and the steps that they took, how did they get there, is really important and valuable too. And it's something that we may have difficulty trying to coordinate on our own. So I think that it would be really helpful if organizations really took the initiative to try to set those pieces in place for employees so they do feel valued and welcomed and supported holistically.
Yeah,
Truly.
yeah.
You know, mentorship has been something that's really, really important to me, very incredible. But working in a predominantly white male industry, being in sales and tech for, 20 years, again, I was telling D'Angelo just the other day, like Bazoma St. John was my only mentor, and she did not feel very tangible, obviously, at the time. Now I feel like I could find her at some event and, we'll get her on the show at some point. But mentorship was so important. So there were usually white male figures that were my mentors. I just got off a call actually with a DEI founder that we should have on the show. Her name is Kim. And so it's great to, glean these insights and learn these things, but the rest is up to me. And I know we talked about, women having the propensity not to apply for jobs when we don't feel 100% qualified. But let's talk about the flip side. So let's talk to sis right now. Now let's talk straight to her. This is what you need to go do. Now, so forget, not having the opportunity to be given some of these opportunities. Now it's time for you to go get it, sis. What would you say are 3 things that we as Black women can be doing differently, should be doing more consistently to be hired and to be put in position?
So I'm a real advocate for education. My dad used to say, an education is the one thing that they can never take away from you. So when he said they, he meant they, white people. And so it's so true, though. That is the one thing that nobody can ever take away from you, because once you have it in your head, it's there. And so I encourage people who don't have formal education, if that's something they're interested in, to pursue it, no matter their age. Listen, I went to law school at 30. Everyone told me I couldn't do it. They were like, you should have done it before you had kids. You're selfish. And I was like, well, I'm doing this for them. It is my dream. It was my dream to always go to law school. But I was like, if I get this education, this will put me in a better financial situation for my family. I'm doing it for them. So I encourage getting an education if that's what you want to do, no matter your age or whatever people say. And then also just putting yourself out there. If you want it, go get it. I mean, if you want to be a leader, make yourself a leader. Ask for those opportunities. Make those opportunities. Just be like, no, it's going to be me. Raise your hand first or get out there. I mean, go for what you want, I think is the most important thing for all women, but especially for Black women. Don't take no for an answer. So if you want it, go get it. And let's see, what's a third thing I would say? I don't even know if I have a third thing. I feel like it's just those 2 things.
Okay. Well, I have one. I'll add one. But well, you kind of said it as well. And this really touched me as I'm at this journey or this point in my journey. But keep dreaming and dream big. So you said education. I've decided that I'm going to go to Parsons. I'm going to go to Paris for a month and just study fashion. That's been my dream, something that I put away 20 years ago. D'Angelo was the first person I called, and he was like, what you going to do with that? And I was like, I don't know. But I know it is a dream of mine. And then again, connected with that education, we'll see where God takes me, right? So I think it's really important that we as women, we as Black women, remember to continue to dream and dream big, because it doesn't have to look like anything in particular. We don't have to be in a box. It doesn't have to be an opportunity that's already there. We can dream it up and we can create that. So I love the 2 things that you said as well.
And I can't wait to sit front row at the Blaire Hervey runway show in Paris. When is this happening?
and we'll have to talk about that later. I didn't say it like that, like she's saying it, but that's fine. I'll take that. So Tai, one of the things that a couple of things here. I love the fact that you said raise your hand, right? And I think we need to have you come back and talk about the how Black women are looked at as aggressive when it's really just being assertive when you're raising your hand and when you go after things, right? And others are just as assertive, and we should be allowed to be as well as people of color and you all women. So we're gonna hold that thought. But I love that you brought that up because we need to do more of that. So um, the other thing that I heard a speaker say one time is that we need to make sure we are hiring each other and not worrying about what our teams look like, if they're made up, if they're homogenous, because other teams are homogenous. They hire their friends, right? Other people hire their friends, their cousins, their whatever. And I want to ask that question of not only how do women be allies of other women, but what do men need to do to show up better for Black women in the workplace? That's the question I want to know. What do I need to do better? What can allies, and right now I'm asking for Black men because that's what I'm representing. What can we do to show up better for you as Black women in the workplace?
Yeah, I think listening is one thing. Like, listen to the story and don't try to intercept it. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to say, well, maybe it wasn't meant like that. Maybe it didn't happen the way you perceived it. Just listen to the story, hear me out, hear what I experienced, and just let it rock. Like, I really would appreciate that sometimes versus like, no, it wasn't like that, sis. I think you're overreacting. Like, no, maybe I am, but maybe I'm not. So just listen to me. I think that's one. And I think you really came up with an excellent point. Like, we need to start looking out for each other. And I'm going to call out Black Portland here. Black Portland, listen to me. We need to start supporting each other. There's just a real lack of support that I see in Black Portland when you're not from here. And so I'm speaking from my experience as a person from Washington State who moved here and has made this home off and on for 20 years. So this is like home to me. But I even still today hear things like, but you're not an SEI kid. Or, well, what high school did you go to? And that separates us. So we're already behind when we start judging each other before we even get in front of them to judge us. So we need to stop doing that. We need to start supporting each other no matter where we come from, because as the saying goes, there are just as many ways to be Black as there are Black people. So we're not all going to be the same. We're all going to come to the table differently, but that doesn't mean that we're not all a part of this amazing community of Black folks. So as Black people, we need to start supporting each other better.
That's beautiful. And thank you for sharing your experience. I think we all have had different experiences. Also, on the flip side of that, there have been some groups out there in Black Portland that I want to make sure that we shout out. And they have been very supportive. And if nothing else, we going to rock with who rock with us.
Of course.
So let's keep that in mind, Susan. That's good. All right. So we have a couple of minutes left. We always like to, recently we've started this rapid fire, fun little question, nothing that you have to prepare for, but we'll go back and forth for about a couple questions and see what your thoughts and your perspectives are. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
It'd be funny if she said no. Okay, I'll go first. 5 Heartbeats or The Wiz?
The Wiz. You can't be chop. Yeah, The Wiz.
Okay, President Kamala Harris or Stacey Abrams?
Stacey Abrams.
I love the decisiveness. I'm here for this. Okay. So this is not a this or that. This is just a fun question. What might your mama say if you want some McDonald's?
You better get in that kitchen.
Oh, that's
McDonald's money. That would be
it's that second one for me. Yes.
Or
we got food at home.
I got nothing, Blaire. I got nothing now. I'm just going to no, because that was a good one. I got you.
We try. Well, good. Well, thanks for having a little fun with us. Thanks for your knowledge and for opening up, sharing your experiences and your vulnerability as well, Tai. That was great. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure as always, and I look forward to joining you again.
Absolutely. Well, do we have a shout out for today?
I do. I was like all the Black women I know, but luckily I have 200 days a year where I can shout out all the Black women that helped me in my journey. But one of them today is my very good friend, Brittany Cochran, who is a skilled diversity, inclusion, culture, transformation leader that you need to have on your team. Please find her on LinkedIn because she's fantastic and just a dynamic employee, woman, and friend and colleague. So that's what I'm shouting out today is Brittany Cochran.
Lovely. And if you haven't already, please get her the link to the form so
Oh,
we can have her on the show.
it's already done. It's already done. So I gotta make sure she signs up. Yes. Okay.
Fantastic. Well, again, Ty, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you. And for everyone out there who is either watching now, watching live, or will watch the replay, we'd love to see you tomorrow as well for another daily dose of DEIBA with D&B on the Black DEIBA Collective. All right, y'all. Have a great day.
Thank you.